So in this debrief session, we're going to attempt to deal with strategy, setup, driver errors, and general tactical approach to the event and what can be done to improve the result for next time. So we can look at it there and we can see that the one stop was the better strategy. Both first and second were on a one stop. I think Isfan Singhal had a problem on one of his laps. And Nandor Master in fifth did pretty well on a two-stop, remembering that he had to recover from a spin on the first lap. But the one-stop strategy looks like it was better. And moving on from strategy into, I guess, errors and tactical mistakes. I mean, even if mathematically the one-stop and the two-stop look identical, you would normally want to go for the one-stop because every time you enter pit lane there is jeopardy. And in this particular race, both times that I entered pit lane, things went wrong. We had a collision with a car that was already stopped in his pit box. We made a mistake by double tapping the request pit stop button, so we had a 6-second pit stop instead of a 3-second pit stop. We stopped short. We actually carried damage from that contact in pit lane for the rest of the race. So lessons need to be learned that the glory of having a few quick laps on a softer set of tyres is really not worth it on its own. So if we look at pit lane transit time for one of those extra stops, both of them being bad stops, we're probably talking 28 seconds pit lane transit time. And then if we even wanted to count that little bit of extra damage, we're probably adding in a couple of seconds. It wasn't much per lap, but 2 or 3 seconds. So we're talking 31 seconds of extra race time by virtue of going for that two-stop strategy. Then we've got several instances of just loss of concentration and driver error. We had an off into turn 1. We had a big off at Degner 1 onto the kiddie litter. We had a big off exiting the Casio Triangle into the kiddie litter, and then a couple of other minor ones. So we're probably talking 20-25 seconds at least for all those errors. And I guess the next goal has got to be to remain on the lead lap. And if we look at adding up all those things we've listed there, we're probably talking about a minute or so. And yeah, sure, we're never going to be totally error free, but if we can take 40-50 seconds off our race time and avoid being lapped, because that starts a whole sequence of slowing down and letting people by and losing even more and more time, we're going to hopefully at least remain on the same lap as the winner and be more competitive. I mean, that alone would have jumped us 2 or 3 places up the result sheet, and that's without finding a millisecond of pace. And if we do the maths there on average pace, we're going to be on the lead lap. So sticking with strategy, let's now have a little bit of a look at and see what we can delve into and determine from the results provided by FSR on what the top runners did different to us and better than us. So we can see here that we pitted with our worst tyre at 39.2% and with a front rear wear balance difference of about 15%, 15% more wear on the fronts than the backs. Let's see how that compares with the top runners. Now this is actually the race winner analysing his first stint, and we can see here he's got a pretty understeery balance here. He's getting a fair bit more front tyre wear than rear tyre wear, but that just might be the way he wanted to stay safe on the hard tyre. But look at the tyre wear at the end of the stint. He was down to 27% on his worst tyre on the front, and about a 15% tyre wear delta between front and rear. So he was a lot gutsier than we were, and he was comfortable with running that tyre quite a lot longer into its wear cycle. Now I think this was the chap who came second, and this is his final stint, which was also on hards, and it was also around a 30 lap stint. He just did medium hard, whereas the winner did hard medium. And we can see at the end of that stint, his tyres wear front to rear is a fair bit more even than the other one we just looked at, which is impressive. So he's not relying on understeer to stay safe. He's managing to drive a fairly well balanced car and keep it on the road. So what does that all mean for us? Well, it means a one-stop was easily achievable. Our wear wasn't any worse than the worst of these top two drivers. Our wear balance wasn't any worse than the winners, and so we could have easily just done a one-stop and avoided a bit of carnage and potential carnage in pit lane and saved ourselves maybe 28 seconds. Right, so now to the thorny issue of pace. What could we have done better or differently with qualifying and with the car setup? And we might start with an easy one. We might look at car setup. And just out of interest there, you can see the quali delta was 2.577 seconds. The race lap time delta was 2.3 odd seconds. So there is definitely room for improvement in qualifying. I've made a note at the top there what the World Championship pole time was. And interestingly enough, Istvan Single did qualify third or fourth in the World Championship event. So the pole position was very, very competitive in Pro. So we can dive on board and we can see what people did differently in qualifying to us in a simple and a more complicated way. And here we go. So let's look at top speed. This is flat out just at the entry of 130R before tyre scrub takes a bit of speed from us. This is on a quali lap with quali fuel mix pinned in 8th gear, and you can see there my top speed 309 kph. For comparison, this is the pole sitter Istvan Single 318 kph. Now, rule of thumb, one click of rear wing on these cars is worth about 4 kph. So this guy is using 2 clicks less wing than me, and that's where his top speed's coming from. That's not all though. You've got to be good enough to manage the rest of the track with that lower wing. This is the chap that won the race and same spot, and he's also 318 kilometers per hour. So both the pole sitter and the race winner were both using the same aero settings, and they were 2 clicks lower than me on rear wing. Conclusion, I've got to get better at driving the car with a little bit less assistance from downforce. So how do you get better at driving, I hear you say? Well, the first port of call for me is to go and use Replay Office, which is a set of tools for R-Factor 2. And here I've overlaid the pole sitter's quali lap and my quali lap onto the one video. And you can go through here, go backwards and forwards, and you can compare everything. Line, gear selection, braking technique, braking points, throttle technique, and you can go through this with a fine-tooth comb, and you can spend easily 40 minutes comparing one lap. But that's where your answer is. Apart from setup, what is the lead driver doing differently to you? Well, I hope that's been informative and maybe even entertaining for you. We run as a team 7 arrows in Formula Sim racing. For 2026, we think FSR will be expanding back to a 3rd grid, which will probably where I'll end up, Division 3. But if you're interested in improving your driving and competing against some of the best open wheel drivers in the world, Formula Sim racing is where you go. It's where you find you've got to look for more performance and develop more performance in your own driving and become better. So if that's something you're interested in, look up Formula Sim racing, look up 7 arrows as a team, and see if you want to get involved for 2026. There's a winter series coming up, which is a great way to dip your toe in the water and see how you get on with Formula Sim racing. We'd love to see you there, and I'm sure there'll be a team there that will welcome you with open arms, whether your pace is suited for Division 3, Division 2 or Division 1 World Championship. We'd love to see you come and get involved. Thanks for watching.